They hadn't shared more than a few perfunctory greetings. She wanted to thank everyone for coming. She really did appreciate their expressions of sympathy and respect, and at the same time find a way to steer them out the door. Making conversation with people she hardly knew was beyond her. She was polite, cordial, but a tightness had gripped her chest, and it demanded every ounce of restraint she could muster not to rush to the barn, saddle midnight, and ride until she was too exhausted to go farther. Bob and Marilee Carr came next, with their little boy, Axel. They owned and operated 3 of a kind, Buffalo Valley's Bar and Grill. After that, the banker, Heath Quantrill, offered his condolences. Rachel Fisher was with him, and if Margaret remembered correctly, they were a couple now. Ranchers and farmers crowded the house. So many people. There barely seemed room to breathe. "Do you need anything?" Maddie McKenna asked, with a gentleness that nearly broke Margaret's facade. Maddie was the best friend she'd ever had. If anyone understood, it would be Maddie. "I want everyone to leave," Margaret whispered, fighting back emotion. The lump in her throat refused to go away, and she had trouble talking around it. Maddie took Margaret by the arm and led her down the long hallway to her bedroom. The 2 of them had spent many an afternoon in this very room. At Margaret's entreaty, Maddie had tried to instruct her in the arts of looking and acting feminine. Feminine enough to attract Matt Eilers. Not that her efforts had been noticed. Not by him, anyway. "Sit," Maddie ordered, pointing to Margaret's bed. Without argument, Margaret complied. "When was the last time you had any sleep?" Margaret blinked, unable to recall. A while ago. The night before the funeral, she'd sat up and gone through her father's papers. He had everything in order, as she'd suspected he would. He'd realized months ago that he was dying. "Lie down," Maddie said. "I have a house full of company," Margaret objected weakly. It went against the grain to let someone dictate what she should or shouldn't do. With anyone else, she'd have made a fuss, insisted it was her place to be with her father's friends. "You're dead on your feet," Maddie told her. Margaret nestled her head in her pillow, surprised by how good it felt against her face, how cool and comforting. I thought I was prepared," she said, her eyes closed. "I thought I could handle this." "No one's ever ready to lose a father," Maddie said as she covered Margaret with the Afghan from the foot of the bed. The weight of it settled warmly over her shoulders. "Sleep now. By the time you wake, everyone will be gone. Nothing's ever going to be the same again." Margaret whispered, "You're right. It won't." Maddie's voice sounded soothing, even if her words didn't. But then, Margaret could count on her friend to tell the truth. Already she could feel sleep approach, could feel the tension leave her body. "Matt didn't attend the funeral, did he?" "No," Maddie said. "I thought he would." She was keenly disappointed that he hadn't bothered to show up. "I know." Maddie was disappointed in him, too. Margaret could tell from the inflection in her voice. Few people understood why she loved Matt. If pressured to explain, Margaret wasn't sure she could justify her feelings. Matt Eilers was as handsome as sin, shallow and conceited. But she loved him, and had, from the moment she'd met him. With Maddie's tutoring, Margaret had done everything possible to get Matt to recognize that she was a woman with a woman's heart. A few months back, she'd had her hair done and put on pantyhose for the first time in her life. The pantyhose had nearly wrestled her to the ground, and the new hairdo had made her look like one of the Marx brothers. In her opinion, anyway. The whole beautifying operation had been a unique form of torture.